Hello, kids. Welcome in. It is Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 12:05 Libertarian Lunchtime Hour starts right now. It is Thursday, May 9, 2024. I want to say a belated happy birthday to my passed away grandfather, who would have been 95 years old yesterday. Finest man, in my opinion, to ever walk the face of the earth, was born yesterday in 1929. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're happy that you're with us. There are a variety of ways for you to watch or listen to the show, and I'm going to go over those at the beginning of the show. We call those the pleasantries, and then we'll get into things, obviously focusing on the events of last evening, the tornado that went through Middle Tennessee, killing people and destroying families, homes, and potentially other lives. We don't know a lot about the details as to some of the lives affected as of now, but we're going to get into that today to begin the show. We also have a lot more to do. I mean, obviously, I've been off for a few days. Thank you so much to Jennifer Sheets, who filled in for me on Monday. Did a great job. From everything that I've heard, I've not been able to listen to any of those broadcasts as I was out of town, but I hear that she did a fabulous job, and I'm told that Cameron Smith did his normal meh job. That's what I'm told. That Cameron, and I'll tell him this next Wednesday when he pops in, is that, you know, everyone told me that you did, you know, it's like a C-, maybe a C+. I kid because I love him. Thank you to Cameron, and thank you to Jennifer for filling in from noon until 3 in my absence. And thank you to all of you for allowing me an opportunity to go and watch my niece graduate from college. It was a special occasion. My brother is a great man, and he's a good man. I don't want to say great man. I don't want to overuse the term. Brian, if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. He's a good man, and he's raised two great kids. Let me tell you how great. So Clara has just graduated. She got a geology degree, which is more useful than one would think. And she will be spending some time working as a lab assistant at Georgia Southern University, which is in Statesboro, Georgia, just outside of Savannah, for a year or so. And my brother's son, Alex, my nephew, is a junior in high school and about to be a senior in high school. And instead of going to his traditional high school for his senior year, he is going to a trade-specific school where you will learn the usual things that you need to graduate with a high school diploma, but he's also learning trades. And I find this to be wonderful. My brother and Alex are set on the idea that he doesn't want to go to college. Alex says that he has no interest in college. He doesn't need college. College is not going to provide him the necessary knowledge or information to further any career that he wants to go into. So he's not utilizing college as a mere extension of high school or a prevention to begin life. But what he wants to do in his final year of high school is to set himself up so he can go into a trade school. He's focusing on welding right now and is interested in being a welder, arc welder, I would assume. But he has left himself open. And I told Alex over the 3 days that I was off, as we talked about this, I said, man, I think you're so smart. Because you know what? You learn those skills. You learn those basic mechanical and life skills, and you learn a trade like welding, and then the world is before you. You can either weld for the rest of your life for someone else. You can move up the ranks. You can become a foreman on a job site if you want to be a foreman. You can own your own company if that's what you want to do. Anything you want. And in any of those arenas, you can provide a wonderful life for yourself and whatever family that you build as you move forward in your days on this earth. I was reinvigorated by American youth because I got to meet some of my niece's friends, and they all, look, I know that for me, it was reinvigorating. Because in our daily world, in what we do on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and oftentimes what we talk about, we're talking about a distinct minority of America as if it is bigger than it is. And that's natural. It's human nature. And I do it all the time. So we're focusing on these college campus protests, and rightly so, because there's a broader narrative that's going on here. And I get that. But we're also discussing a minuscule microcosm of America. Dare I say the worst of the worst? Yeah, I do. It is the worst of the worst. These people are awful that are committing these gross abnormalities on our college campuses, and those colleges are allowing it to happen. They're facilitating the nonsense. And so with all of that in mind, I visit Georgia Southern in Statesboro, and I'd never been to Georgia Southern. I mean, I grew up in Augusta or just outside of Augusta and went to West Georgia, which is across the state. But I meet a lot of youngsters, a lot of graduating college students who graduated in the same class as my niece Clara. I meet her boyfriend that she's been dating for about 3 years. I meet her best friend who just got engaged and graduated the day after Clara graduated. They had 2 separate graduation ceremonies. I see her. I mean, so I'm talking to like 6 or 8 20-somethings. And they all, can I just tell you, they all seem normal. They all seem well-adjusted. They all seem to come from good home lives. They all know clearly what their pronouns are, and they have nothing to do with plurals. They have nothing for these protests on college campuses. I went there. I engaged on this, and I loved what I had to hear. So I am sending you today, as we start the show, a message of hope for the future of this country. These young people that I met 2 days ago, they don't get headlines. They don't get pieces written about them in the liberal New York Slimes or the Washington Compost. They don't have features done about them on #NeverCNN or on MSNBC or any of these other liberal networks, because they love our country. I asked these young, how do you feel about the United States? I love the United States. It's great. Love the South. It's great. What do you think about Joe Biden? Most often, I got a stinky face. I got stinky face. Joe Biden, they give me one of these. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, they give me one of these. Joe Biden. By the way, Bell K's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. I want to get ahead of myself before I introduce Mr. K. He participates on the radio side of things from time to time. You can hear us on 99.7 FM, obviously. You can also hear us on a variety of streaming platforms. You can choose your streaming platform, and we're there. If we're not there, tell us about it, and we'll get there. We also have our own app. You can download that. Go to your app store and download Supertalk 99.7 WTN. And then there's Supertalk TV. Now, Supertalk TV, Bell K does not participate in because he is in the witness protection program. Apparently, he ratted out some sort of mobster back in the day. I'm probably not supposed to be talking about it on the radio, but whatever. Anyway, Bell is behind the glass. How was my time off, Bell?
You were missed.
Well, thank you.
Jennifer's awesome. Cameron did a great job, but it's just much more fun when you and I are interacting.
Well, I missed you as well. You're my platonic radio husband, and I miss you when I'm away. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Lots went down while I was gone. Obviously,
it was crazy.
I mean, a lot of political stuff going down, but not the least of which, and it's where we'll start today. I'll get back to some of my stories about my trip down to South Georgia in just a couple of minutes. But we want to start by sending out thoughts and prayers and our condolences to those who lost property, and particularly to those who were injured or experienced loss of life because of the storms. What a great job Dan Mandis, Brian Wilson, and Ken Weaver did, along with Bell K and Chris Weber and Mason Fleming overnight. And I know that Hand was on social media back in Murfreesboro as he took care of the kids. I mean, all of the team. I was driving in, and as soon as I had an opportunity to get, I actually dialed up the app in my car before I was in range for the radio. And I was in range at the Alabama-Tennessee line. That's how big the signal is. And I listened all the way in, and what a fabulous job they did. It's what we do. I mean, for those of us who talk about politics and the news of the day and the direction of the country, and we complain and we'll argue amongst ourselves, and we'll have a good time from time to time, have fun with a lot of stuff. We'll get into more serious matters. We'll get a lot of opinion on what's going on in the world today. But if there's anything that we're here for, it is to help our community in a time of need. And it is what radio does better than any other medium on planet Earth. And I challenge you to tell me what is better in a time of need, in a time where there are power outages, where people are confused, they don't know which way is up. If you turn on your radio, if you have a battery-assisted radio in your home, or you have your phone on you and it's charged up and you download the app and you put the app on, we will be there for you to help you understand what's going on around you, and we do it for you. We don't do it for us, and I thank my colleagues for being there. They are so incredible at what they do, and I was reminded how special of a team we truly have at Supertalk 99.7 WTN as I listened and learned about what was going down as I was driving in. I was a small, itty-bitty, teeny-tiny part of that, in as much as I was witnessing something that I felt like merited conversation over a broader platform, and that is the aftermath of what was obviously a tornado that went through Colombia. It's exit 46. Is it 46 or 47? On 65. It's 46.
I want to say 46.
I want to say 46.
Not 100% though.
But it's either 46 or 47, but I want to say it's 46. I just passed exit 46 driving northbound. And I'm listening to the conversation about what was happening outside of Shelbyville and McMinnville and what had happened in Columbia. And I recognized that I would be traveling very close to what was going on. I briefly considered trying to get off the interstate and, actually getting in there and seeing if I could report on the scene. But there was no getting off the interstate. Roads were blocked. All the power was out, obviously. And then we began seeing the downed trees. We saw downed power lines. We saw signage. The big interstate signs had just 3 of them in a row leading on the southbound lanes leading to exit 46, the signs that, gas and, food, and the sign that says Columbia this way, all of them just knocked over. Trees down. You could see in the distance there was a little valley off of the interstate, and then the topography rose again, and you could see a hilltop where there were homes. I could not tell because the light was fading how many homes were damaged on that hilltop, but the amount of emergency responders, police officers, firefighters, EMTs, yellow lights. I don't know what the yellow lights signify. I mean, construction and whatnot, but, utility workers, support personnel. I mean, I couldn't count the number of cars. They were lined up on the side of the interstate. They were lined up on that hilltop all over the joint, and that probably represent a minuscule portion of the amount of people that rush in when everybody else is rushing out. And it bears reminding, you're the first responder. I always hesitate to say first responders because ultimately you're the first responder in any given situation, any natural disaster or dramatic situation, any man-made situation. You are the first responder. I have always believed that saying first responder gives people within the situation a certain level of passivity that they should not have. Meaning I am a passive non-participant in the events that are happening around me, when in fact you are not. You are an active participant, and you can choose how you participate. You can either run away, you can hide, you can fight, you can help. You have a lot of different options as to how you respond based on your situation, your clarity, and your ability. But the first responders are trained in this regard. And they are trained to rush in as our instincts tell us to rush out. And so thank you to all of you. We appreciate you. While many in this country want to lambaste you because you wear a uniform oftentimes, or you wear a badge, or you wear some sort of designation of authority, there are many people in this United States of America, sadly, that want to ridicule you because of that. We honor you, and I thank you. And you saved lives. I have no question. I have no doubt that you did, without knowing any of the particular stories. So the most amazing part of this, and it was like I was having a dream. As we're driving, northbound is clear. We're going because of there was another storm that had come through, a pocket that was coming through, and it was a severe thunderstorm, nothing like the town had seen, hours before. or however long it was. But it was a severe storm. And the rain is pelting the truck. I'm probably driving at, 45 miles an hour, maybe, just because of the severity of the storm. And the windshield wiper blades simply would not keep up with the rain that's pelting. And I feel a little, droplets of hail inside embedded in the rain. And the traffic is stopped on the other side of the road and the lights are going. And I look up and there's a helicopter about 500 feet, I would guess, in the air on the other side of the road. And it's hovering, and for a split second, I thought it was out of control. For a split second, I wondered if it was not crash. I thought it was crash, possibly fly in this weather. Now, I don't know anything about helicopters, so helicopters might be well able to fly in any sort of weather. I don't know. But my assumption was that if things get bad enough that planes can't take off or land, then helicopters can't take off or land either. I don't know what that helicopter was doing. It looked like, in the rain and in the dusk and the dark, it looked like a life flight helicopter of some sort. I don't know. But it was landing in a driving severe thunderstorm because they were trying to help somebody out. I mean, that's the only thing that I could figure out. It was certainly landing for a reason. Maybe it was landing because the storm had gotten such that it needed to get on the ground. I don't know. Or maybe it was landing to help somebody. It was amazing to me, the bravery of the responders. Now, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, if you have any comments on the severe weather from last night, there is not a lot to say except to thank those who risked their lives to help others. I understand that I'm getting popped with, there are different types of helicopters. I understand that there are military-grade helicopters. I understand that there are Coast Guard-grade helicopters. I'm not an idiot. This was not any of those things. So I get it. But y'all feel free to lambaste me about my lack of knowledge about helicopters all you want. So that's not the point of the story. Point of the story is this. Thank you to those responders who were out there. God bless those of you who went through it. If there's anything we can do for you today, tomorrow, or otherwise, please let us know. Put it out there in the world on a 100,000-watt radio station and on all of the various platforms that we are on today, and we'll get you some help that you might need. We appreciate all of you for tuning in and making us a part of every event of your life, particularly in these times where we feel like we can help on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's an open show today, so for anyone that does want to call in regarding the storms, you're welcome to. And we'll move on to certain other things. There have been some major developments as I have been away, as you're probably well familiar, in the series of Donald Trump cases designed to prevent him from becoming the next president of the United States of America, the once and future president. We'll talk about that. I have an update on Flagstock. I was talking with John Rich yesterday and today, and he has presented a big-time update. You know, the Flagstock event that he talked about on our radio show, where he was going to put on a concert for those young fraternity brothers in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Well, the concert is on, baby, and we have a date, baby. And I'll tell you all about that. We'll talk about the motion to vacate. We'll get into some politics today on the show. We have a on-again, off-again Sebastian Rogers update. There was a little bit of hope on the Sebastian Rogers story out of Hendersonville, and then those hopes were kind of crushed because reality sank in that there was a sighting. I'll tell you where the sighting was, and it turns out the sighting was not Sebastian Rogers. There is an awful story involving Governor Bill Lee and his wife getting threatened by another crazed transgender person, a situation that the media refuses to cover with regard to some of the mental instability of these folks that classify themselves as transgendered. We'll get into that as well. It's just so much to get into, and I'm proud to be back on this Thursday edition of the Matt Murphy Show. It is episode 567, and today's episode, Bell K, is entitled,
Matt Murphy is back. Call in, and he'll prove it by yelling at you.
That's true.
Libertarian Lunch, noon to 3.
Lots of yelling today on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to talk to you about Your Health Plan Man and yourhealthplanman.com. If you pay for your own health insurance or if you are unsatisfied with the amount that you're paying. Perhaps you don't have coverage right now and you're looking. Have you gone online? Don't do it. If you're looking for quotes, you get endless calls from call centers. These are interested parties only interested in selling you a particular plan. They are interested in working for the insurance company that they work for. They're not interested in working for you. You understand the difference? They're working for the insurance company trying to sell you something. When you call Pat Davis and Your Health Plan Man, he is working for you to find you the best coverage for you. And that saves you money, and it gets you better coverage. It gets you coverage that is specific to your needs, not some universal plan that you're paying for. If you don't need maternity leave, for example, or maternity coverage, then why would you pay for that? It's that sort of thing that Pat can do. He can cut through the clutter and find you the best opportunity for you. Go to yourhealthplanman.com. That's yourhealthplanman.com, or give him a call at 855-475-2662. That spells 855-4-PLAN-MAN. 855-4-PLAN-MAN. That's the number 4, of course. Or go to yourhealthplanman.com. Find out how he can assist you and get you better coverage at a lower price by being your healthcare concierge. He is Your Health Plan Man and yourhealthplanman.com. Got ahead of myself there and managed to give you a short segment during the Libertarian Lunch right now on Super Talk 99.7 WT, and it's 12:29. Thank you for being out there. Any comments or, well, if you want to engage in a conversation, you're welcome to do so. You can do so primarily by running over to the membersnutrition.com super text line, 615-737-9986. I am told not to encourage you to call the phone lines right now because there's some problems going on in the phone lines across the glass. So Bell K said, hey, Murph, maybe, do some other things at the beginning of the show and don't encourage them to call because it'll be more difficult for me to answer right now. And don't bring this up on the radio because that'll encourage people to call just to make my life a living hell. Isn't that what you said?
Almost verbatim.
Okay, so anyway, if
one
you
of the
want
buttons is broken, which makes it difficult to answer the phone.
If you want to make Bell's life a living hell, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. That's the way to vote in that
I'll be back in a minute.
And if you don't want to make Bell's life a living hell, then, Members Nutrition Super Text line is out and running. TB wants to know, why were there 2 graduations? Because of the size of the graduating class. I think there were probably, 300 to 400 graduates at the ceremony that we saw that lasted almost 3 hours. I mean, they're calling every name, man. Then they go and they stand and they do it as best they can. So the commencement speakers talking, and then the president of this thing and the president of that thing, and with the doctoral graduates, and then the masters, and then the School of Science and the School of Arts, and then this and the that. And so they have to split them so that we don't have to sit there for 7 hours in a huge stadium where it's 91 degrees and blazing hot. That's the reason that they split the graduations. So they did not split the graduations and if this is what you're alluding to, I saw this story, TB, where there was some college that was splitting the graduations into like the black graduation and the LGBTQ. I mean, liberals are resegregating America. Have y'all noticed that? Liberals are actively attempting to resegregate America. Liberals act more like the Klan than any other. Tell me this. I mean, can you think of any organization that acts more like the Klan than Antifa? They dress the same. Instead of white robes, they wear black military gear or tactical gear. They all act in uniformity. They hate people. They scream at people. They attack people. And now they're trying to segregate society again. That's what the Klan was doing. But no, TB, not this college. They were all kind of people, and everybody was happy to see their youngsters graduate school. 1232, Super Talk 99.7, WTN. Yes, John, I did miss you. I missed all of you. And thank you all for participating on the membersnutrition.com super text line. There are far fewer callers than I was hoping for to annoy Bell. Y'all work on that during the break. We'll be back in a moment. Most of the information that you get about investing comes from people selling certain investment product, advertising investment products, or the media who typically interview people who do those very things. There's very little education that goes on. With Paul Winkler, education is first, middle, and last when it comes to your investment. Investing isn't something that you do normally in life, but it's what Paul and his team of professionals do every single day. Every office is run by a chartered financial consultant or a certified financial planner. That's important. They have 10 separate offices to serve you, so you can sit down in person, or they can do all of this by the phone, and they're going to educate you as to how to invest so that you know what you're doing. Now, Matt Murphy here, I am paid to tell you about Paul Winkler, but I am also a client, and I'm not paid for that. Paul Winkler educates me as he educates you and helps us implement our plan of action. They do nothing on commission. They act as a fiduciary. That means they keep your best interest in mind first, middle, and last as well. In fact, they align their interests with yours. 615-851-1950 is the number. 615-851-1950, or go to paulwinkler.com. Paul Winkler is not just wise, he's the why guy when it comes to investment. paulwinkler.com. Oh, pardon my delay for getting back. I was just responding on the membersnutrition.com super text line. I try to do that as time allows. A listener, 9714, just wrote in and said, I'm hoping this is the Super Talk text line. And I wrote back, it is. Thank you. I didn't say this, but I'll say it now. Thank you. Oh, here we go. Here's the big one. Oh, no. Oh, wow.
You should have said no, and I can't hear you.
No. This is more serious than that, Bell. 9714. If you can see this, Bell, if you have the ability to call this person, and just check out the bona fides on that message, because if that's for real, we need to help these people. Okay. I'll just let you read. I'm going to leave it there for now. Because I'm sad to say, 9714, if you're listening, call me on the phone, 615-737-9986, same number that you just texted. I am sad to tell you that we live in a world where I need to check things out before I go off, and especially when we're talking about some people's money and doing something like that. So, Brian, if you will, this person's name's Brian. Brian, if you will call me, we'll get this information out. And Bell will talk to you briefly. And are the phones working right now?
They are. It's just, there's just issues with certain
Okay, so
buttons.
you can figure it out. I mean, it just takes a little bit more. Okay, all right, I got you. So, Brian, if you have the ability, call me, and we'll talk further about that once you talk to Bell about a couple of things. But Brian says that, no, that's fine, Brian. You don't have to do that. Bell, I just need to talk to you for a minute. I just need to make sure that, I mean, I'm not doubting you in any way, but you understand that we live in a world where people try to scam other people. And I just have to protect the audience and protect myself.
You got to do your due diligence.
I just got to do my due diligence to make sure that all of this is on the up and up. Brian is giving us some information. Just get his name, and we'll do all of this off air if he calls in. Just get his name and the family's information and the information on the GoFundMe. And then if we check that out and everything checks out, we'll promote that. But Brian is saying that he is a relative of the individual that was killed last night in Columbia from the tornado. And if that is the case, I want to help you. Yeah, no, you call now. You will not be on air, Brian. If you call 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986, the voice you will hear is Bell K. That's the producer of the show. That's an off-air conversation, so you don't automatically go on the air. And if you do that, we'll check all of that out. But that's something that we need to help out. That's neighbors helping neighbors.
Actually, what I'll do is I'll give him your email, and that way he can communicate directly with you about the details.
Yeah. That's fine. But apparently, Brian says that his aunt was the person that was killed last evening in Columbia from the tornado, and wants to know. Well, we'll do everything we can if we can help you. So we just need to check that out briefly, and we will help. I promise you that, buddy. 615, and tell him that there's no harm. I mean, if he doesn't really want to go on the air, I understand that, but there's no harm in that either. 615-737-9986 if you have a thought or a comment. Obviously, we're dealing with a lot of the aftermath of what happened in the storms last evening. What an incredible amount of rain. I'll say this. I reached out to my buddy Tommy Cunningham up at the Grand Old RV Park. You guys know, you longtime listeners know that I lived up there for almost a year. I bought myself a camper, and Tommy was good enough to let me stay. And even though I, called it the Grand Old RV Resort Convalescence Home and Bat Meat Market, apparently the entire time I was there, I lived on the back row of the Grand Old RV Resort where there was a stream, and that stream fed into a larger river. And I don't know what river that is in Goodlettsville. Somebody will know, and you'll tell me on the Members Nutrition Super Text line, but it's right up there. Right at the end. I mean, what road is that? Is that 31 or 41? I think that's 41. But it's right at the connect to the Goodlettsville 65 interchange. But what I was always told in the 11 months that I was there, that if the river got full enough and if the river rose enough to back up into the stream, then there was going to be a problem, and a lot of people would have to move their campers and their trailers very, very quickly. And apparently, I'm told that happened last night. I've not had a visual on it, and I've not spoken to Tommy. Normally, he's really good about texting me back, and the fact that he did not text back is an indicator to me that there's probably a lot of things going on up there in Goodlettsville. But that's just an example of so many communities where roads washed out. If you've not seen images of the Cumberland, man, oh man, it's Masker Creek. Thank you so much, 3393. The stream that runs there is Masker Creek, which runs into the Cumberland River. And so as the Cumberland River backs up and the creek backs up and then this side stream backs up and then everything backs up and the RV park floods. And apparently that was going on last night in Goodlettsville. If you've seen images of the Cumberland River, it's backing up as well. And it's just, one wonders how much longer before we get to the, what do they call that? The zenith? It's not the zenith, the apex. Crest. Once the river crests. Mansker Creek. I think I said it wrong. Mansker Creek is the name of that creek that runs through there. So our thoughts to all of you, and there's just a tremendous amount of flooding that's going on right now, and not a lot of water is going down because everything's saturated with water based on the amount of rain. 2529 says, I drove by the RV park today, and it was emptied out. Did not see many RVs there. News 5 flew over my house in Smyrna from the southern direction in line with Smyrna, which is in line with the Smyrna airport just after sunset, writes 1495. 3219 said, it's all clear now. I hope so. They evacuated everybody to the Dollar General parking lot. Well, that's good news. They evacuated everybody to the Dollar General parking lot right off of I-65. That's smart. Tommy and those guys know. There were several occasions where I went in and I asked them if they were planning on anything because there were storms coming through, and he would be like, nah, we're all good. He said, I'll let you know if there's something you need to worry about, and obviously he did. So we're thinking about those good people up in Goodlettsville as well. 1245, 615-737-9986. Believe it or not, there are other things going on besides the weather, the deadly weather. By the way, did you give Brian my info? Was that him on the phone?
Yeah.
And so he's got the information?
Yeah, he's going to email you the details and kind of give you an overview of what happened.
Okay. Brian, I've lost his email now. I mean, I've lost his, dadgummit. I just need to find it again.
You are so scatterbrained.
I'm not scatterbrained. I'm trying to find the... I'm trying to find the message because he says that he is the nephew of the woman who died in Colombia, and
he said it was his brother's sister.
It was his brother's.
His father's sister.
Right. And according to Brian, they did not have insurance, and if that's the case, then we need to do everything we can to help.
I think he said his sister was there with her kids, and she grabbed the kids and got into a closet. And that's what saved them.
And so his sister.
Aunt, yeah.
So his sister was there with his aunt.
Yeah, and his aunt didn't make it, but his sister did just by virtue of the fact of jumping into that closet.
Updates on this, just while we're talking about it. Governor Bill Lee is obviously out and about today. The threat of flooding remains in effect for parts of Middle Tennessee after heavy rains and storms. At least 2 people have been reported dead across the state as of this morning. One in Murray County, in Columbia. Another reported in East Tennessee where a person was killed by a fallen tree. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee inspecting storm damage today. According to Elizabeth Johnson, his press secretary, Lee will be arriving at the Tennessee Department of Transportation before heading out to Murray County. I think that's probably happened already. This was updated at 12:14 today, so perhaps that's still an ongoing situation. Lee's also reached out to Rutherford County Director of School James Sullivan. Sullivan's 10-year-old Asher suffered injuries during Wednesday night's storm as well. Old Hickory Lake levels noticeably higher, and obviously the Cumberland River is yet to crest, but it looks very close to breaching its banks. Recovery and relief efforts are continuing today, this afternoon. And I will be at an event that has kind of turned into Saturday morning. It's an event that will include Congressman Andy Ogles, Representative Scott Sapicki, a few others in Spring Hill at the Big Bad Breakfast in Spring Hill. It's an AFP event. They asked me to MC it, but the event has turned into an effort to collect money and needed items, as well as to give you a path of direction to help those affected by the storms in Columbia. So just a side note that I'll be there early Saturday morning. 615-737-9986. I'm going to absorb what Brian has sent me and then relate that to you. And then we'll get to some other news. It's been it's been a bad week for Tennessee weather-wise, but it has been a fabulous week for Donald Trump with regard to the lawfare against him. We're going to run that down. I know you've probably been talking about it. I'll give you my take next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, folks. Matt Murphy for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. You feel sluggish, gentlemen. You feel run down. You feel not yourself. The Tennessee Men's Clinic can help you in a variety of ways, and all it takes is a telephone call and to schedule an appointment with the clinic. And you can pop in and schedule an appointment in person, but better yet, make the call that so many other men have made. The biggest complaint that you'll get from Tennessee Men's Clinic after you're treated is that you did not call sooner. You'll complain about yourself. You'll say, I should have done this years before I did it. Why didn't I listen to Matt Murphy? Because if you're low energy, low motivation, low drive, if you don't feel like getting out and working in the yard, if you don't feel like going to the gym, or if this has affected you in the bedroom, then you need to do something about it. Gentlemen, let's get back to life again with Tennessee Men's Clinic. They have a variety of different ways to help impact you and get you back to that energy level that you've wanted for so many years, perhaps, or just many months. It's Tennessee Men's Clinic. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com to find out more about what their qualified urologists do, and give them a call. Schedule that appointment today. 615-208-9090. 208-9090 for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Super Talk 99.7 WTN Libertarian Lunch Hour in progress. We're winding that down. We've got 2 more big hours to go after that before we make way for Brian Wilson. Matt Murphy back in the saddle after a couple of days of absence. Thank you once again to Jennifer Sheets and Cameron Smith for filling in capably, and I appreciate all of you indulging me in my visit to my niece as she graduated college. And yes, it did take 3. I don't know why they hold graduations on a Tuesday morning at 11 or 10 a.m., but they did. There was another one at Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. And no, they weren't segregated graduations, but I do have a story about segregated graduation that I'll get to coming up. So Joe Biden has announced that they are refusing to ship thousands of bombs to Israel because of concerns that Israel might do things that the American or their administration doesn't want, specifically in Rafah, which is the last remaining Hamas. It's where the Hamas terrorists are. So let me give you the lowdown on this. The shipment was meant to transfer 3,500 bombs to Israel, which the United States and the Biden administration has now halted over worries that they will actually use them to kill the terrorists.
And the thing is these are precision-guided munitions, not dumb bombs. They're smart bombs that make the attack much more precise and much less likely to kill civilians.
According to administration officials, they told the Associated Press that the United States and the Biden administration specifically halted the transfer of these 3,500 bombs that would include 1,800 2,000-pound bombs and 1,700 500-pound bombs because they might actually use them in an urban setting. This is the first time the United States has publicly held up military aid to Israel since the October 7th Hamas attacks. An American official described the decision to the Washington Post as a, quote, shot across the bow to signal the Biden administration was uneasy about a Rafah operation. Would someone explain to me how they're supposed to kill the terrorists if they're not allowed to kill the terrorists?
Well, sometimes you just have to withhold aid to make a political point.
Axios reported Tuesday that Israel had not crossed a red line from the administration's perspective with its ongoing engagement in Rafah, which began Monday after Israel evacuated civilians from 4 neighborhoods. By the way, they're inviting any civilian that wants to come, get checked out, and get evacuated, you get evacuated. The uniqueness of this situation in the Gaza Strip cannot be overstated. You have an enemy that does not abide by any rules of warfare. And none of the mainstream media in the United States of America will point this out. Hamas acts as a terrorist organization, not as a military operation, although they're big enough to be a military operation. They hide intentionally behind civilians, which is against the laws of warfare. They hide under hospitals. They tunnel underneath schools. They do this intentionally. They don't want to protect the Palestinians. They want to intentionally put the Palestinians in danger. Those few percentage of Palestinians that don't want to be in danger have an opportunity to get out, but they have to go to the Israelis to do so. And oftentimes they're not allowed to do that under threat of death from Hamas. Hamas tried, remember this stupid bridge, the port that the Biden administration decided to build? And they said that it wasn't boots on the ground, and obviously it's boots on the ground. It's not boots on the ground, it's boots on the bridge. Shut up. Hamas is trying to bomb the bridge. They don't want to help the Palestinian people. Any suffering that the Palestinians have helps Hamas, in their opinion, because it makes the Israelis look bad, and they accomplish exactly what the Biden administration is doing.
Aren't you supposed to get impeached if you hold up aid for...
I'm just looking at the time. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to distract you.
That's actually my fault. My bad.
I mean, I understand.
Aren't you supposed to get impeached if you hold up aid for political reasons?
We're going to get into that because the Trump administration broke the law by withholding congressionally approved military aid, according to Democrats.
And he got impeached for it.
We'll talk about that coming up in just a moment. It's 1 o'clock, and it's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, folks, Matt Murphy. You know, Nashville Safe House has been providing incredible safes for our community for a long time now. Well over 30 years, Mark and his team have been selling safes in this city. And they have more selection than you can possibly imagine until you see it for yourself. If you've not been down and seen the selection of safes at Nashville Safe House, I encourage you to do that. It is quite impressive, and you're only seeing like less than half of them. Right? You go to the incredible showroom. 4th Avenue South, right across from City Cemetery. And you see the Brownings and the Fort Knox and the Liberty and the rest of the safes that they have, Rhino. And you recognize this, that what you're seeing is less than half of the total amount of safes that they have. They have size for every budget. They have a style for every budget. They have a price point for you. They also sell vault doors. They sell tornado shelters that they can install in your home, or you can have installed in your home. It is an incredible opportunity for you to protect those things that protect your family with a safe from Nashville Safe House. Go see Mark and his team. He can help you out. NashvilleSafehouse.com. That's NashvilleSafehouse.com. Or better yet, stop by 4th Avenue South across from City Cemetery. It's Nashville Safe House. Stormy Daniels has left the stand, apparently. The defense will soon begin cross-examining a prosecution witness, the bookkeeper of the Trump organization, that says that he made the ultimate decision to catalog or categorize payments to Michael Cohen as legal expenses because, after all, you're paying Michael Cohen and he's your lawyer, and Michael Cohen is then pushing that money over to Stormy Daniels, who is looking for an opportunity to make money off the brief dalliance that she had that Trump denies in 2006, and this trial is going as you might expect. I was amazed, and I'll get back to the Israel story in just a moment for those waiting on it. I was amazed. I was catching back up with the news, and early this morning, after getting the lay of the land with regard to some of the dramatic weather events that happen, and we're thinking of all of you folks affected by the weather. If you're just tuning in, we appreciate you. But I'm going back and forth from Fox to CNN. Hashtag, I call them hashtag never CNN. Don't watch CNN. It's a garbage network full of garbage people. I watch CNN so you don't have to. And the different analysis, that it's like we're living in two different planets, on two different planets. The amount of gymnastics, mental gymnastics that go on at CNN to try to make Stormy Daniels' testimony a positive for the prosecution is astounding. So this woman has obviously been a bad deal for the prosecution. The only reason it seems that she was put on the stand to begin with was to try to embarrass Donald Trump by discussing the intimate details of what she claims to be their affair or one-night stand or whatever you want to call it.
She got so salacious that the judge admonished her in front of the jury.
Well, and he should have stopped it way before then, but he didn't.
But that's good for Trump because it makes it look like the judge thinks she's going too far.
Well, she is. I mean, she went places that they had already told them not to go, and she went there anyway, and she discussed these very intimate, detailed moments as she met up with Trump. She intimated, and it's a complete... Regardless of what you think went down, Donald Trump denies it, and I understand why he does, because he doesn't want to get killed by Melania. But regardless of what you think happened, she was claiming or intimating that she didn't want to be there, that it was somehow rape is where she was going with it. That she was intimidated, that it wasn't a good thing, that, you know, there was a bodyguard present and she didn't like that, and that she felt like it wasn't an equal, I mean, going almost there before actually going there. And that's when she got admonished by the judge at one point. The great week that Donald Trump had involved this case, and I'll get into more of that in a moment. Fani Willis, that case is dead. Just know this. On May 9th, 2024, Matt Murphy's declaring that case is dead. That an appeal court took up the defense argument that Fani Willis did not need to be the prosecutor in that case. That case will never come to trial because it's not coming to trial before the election. Anything that doesn't happen before the election is dead. Okay?
Because it has no value to the other side.
There's no value to it to begin with. This is not about justice. This is about getting Donald Trump.
That's what I mean. Is it's like right now the value is embarrassing him.
Right.
And if they don't get it done before the election, they're just going to be like, well, that didn't pan out.
And that indicates to me that the Jack Smith Mar-a-Lago case is dead as well. The amount of evidence tampering that has gone on there has raised suspicion with the court. And the court says, I have to go over this information to make sure that you didn't do something as a prosecutor unseemly. And apparently they have. The amount of, there are accusations of Brady violations in that case. There are accusations, more specifically, there are accusations in that case that they took evidence photos after altering the evidence photos to make the evidence photos look worse. Can't do it. Can't do it. If a prosecutor at any point fails to provide a defendant or the defense attorneys for a defendant with any favorable or helpful information to the defendant's case, that's called a Brady violation. A Brady disclosure consists of, and I'm quoting here, exculpatory or impeaching information and evidence that is material to the guilt or innocence or to the punishment of the defendant. The term comes from the 1963 United States Supreme Court case, Brady versus Maryland, in which the Supreme Court ruled that suppression by the prosecution of evidence favorable to the defendant who has requested it violates due process. They're being accused, the prosecution is being accused, Jack Smith is being accused of violating Brady disclosure. Case is dead. Dead. Will not happen before the November elections, i.e., or not i.e., that's for example. Ergo, that's right. Will not happen before the November election, ergo, will not happen at all. Will not happen at all. So there's two down. That leaves us with Jan 6, which is on hold because the United States Supreme Court is determining what amount of immunity the President of the United States has from prosecution of this sort. And they're not expected to rule in that case until at least June. So you had 4 cases against Trump. All of them flimsy. Mar-a-Lago probably represented the best case with regard to a violation of the law that could have been avoided by Trump. I don't know that he was guilty of said violation, but it probably presented the best opportunity for a conviction. Outside of this nonsense happening right now in New York, and I'll get to that in a moment, because this has nothing to do with his guilt or innocence, has nothing to do with whether or not he actually did what they claim he did. Secondarily, it has nothing to do whether or not this will hold up on appeal. I mean, the very fact that you allowed Stormy Daniels to go as far as she went yesterday indicates to me that they don't have any interest in this holding up on appeal. They have an interest in dinging Trump right now for the purpose of using the law to affect an election, which is something that, third-rate banana republics do, not the United States of America, but, here we are anyway. So, Fani Willis, dead, impropriety, what a ridiculous, I don't know how dumb you have to be to do this and think, either dumb or just so full of yourself that you think you can do what Fani Willis did and get away with it. But she thought she could, and that case is now being referred to an appellate court, and it is not expected to be tried in any fashion before the election process. Jack Smith and Mar-a-Lago. Once again, evidence tampering, Brady disclosure violations. It is not expected that case will go anywhere before November. Therefore, it will not go anywhere. Thirdly, January 6th, that case is happening in Washington, D.C., and in Washington, D.C., the United States Supreme Court is deciding whether or not the president enjoys certain limited immunities from certain crimes suggested that he committed by the prosecution. In that case is going nowhere, one would expect, prior to November. And if that's the case, then the only thing they've got is New York City. And here's the amazing thing. All of this makes him stronger. They're not hiding their desire to prevent him from moving forward. Yes, 3765 says, didn't Stormy Daniels claim she never had an affair with Trump years ago? She did. She signed a non-disclosure agreement in 2016 that said, in effect, if anyone ever says that I had an affair with Donald Trump, it's not true. I never had an affair with Donald Trump. And now she's on the stand saying not only did she have an affair with Donald Trump, but she's never contradicted herself. And when asked about the specifics of the non-disclosure agreement that she signed in 2016, she says that she didn't read it. That's what she said. She said that today, this morning, that she did not read the non-disclosure agreement that she actually signed. In the meantime, here's how sad we've gotten in the United States of America. 0636. Hello, 0636. How are you? 0636 writes in and says, it's sad, really. He needs to be in jail. Well, I'm assuming that you mean Donald Trump, as you don't use your words quite clearly, but we were talking about Donald Trump possibly going to jail, so I'll assume that that's correct. Tell me why. Because his politics are different than yours? Because he's bombastic? Because he's narcissistic? Because he takes policy positions that are different than Joe Biden's? Look, unlike liberals, I'm willing to have conversations along these lines because I think it can educate the general population as to what's really going on. I might have said Stormy Daniels. I don't know, Robert. But if I did, I'll stand by it. Stormy Daniels. It's not, whatever. The defense in the case earlier today actually asked her, because she was all, oh, he made a pass at me. And they said, well, that's not the first time a man has made a pass at you, right? I mean, and CNN is actually using, I was watching this morning that CNN is using the term slut shaming for what they claim the defense is doing. Well, here's the deal. I don't tell people how to live their lives. In America, you're allowed to live a life of your own choosing, and you're going to be judged or not judged based on the life that you live, or, whatever. I don't care about Stormy Daniels. I don't care what she does with her life. It's pretty obvious that she had decided that her career had somewhat dried up in the pornography industry, and that she had a better opportunity to make more money off Donald Trump once she realized that he was running for president of the United States based on something that she claimed happened back in 2006. And so she began shopping that story around. And no one would pay her the money that she was demanding for the story. This is what happened, by the way. No one would pay her the money that she was demanding. And then it got back around to Trump. She inquired. The reason the National Enquirer, the Pecker guy, was up there is because he was testifying that she was shopping it around to his joint. And he decided that he would let his buddy Donald Trump know about this. And eventually, Donald Trump's people got to Stormy Daniels knowing that any sort of allegation of an affair would be embarrassing to him, would be embarrassing to himself and his family, and would ultimately potentially impact or affect his presidential candidacy, which is just fine. That is not an in-kind donation. That is not a campaign donation to do this. There has to be a different crime. So she was out for the money. She decided she would go for the money. When she got Michael Cohen to agree to pay her $35,000 over a period of 12 months per month, she agreed to it because she couldn't find additional money anywhere else. and she signed the NDA. Okay? All about money. I'm glad that 5811 got mine. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to keep this on the up and up, man. I'm trying. No other comments about your comment about some of the verbiage that I've used in describing a former. I mean, is she a former or current? I don't know. I'm proud to say.
Depends on the day of the week.
I'm proud to say I don't know. I mean, she was an actress in the adult film industry for a number of years. I don't know if she's still doing it or not, but retired, not retired, whatever. She's can we say washed up instead of dried up? One way or the other, for any reasonable people, we can get as salacious as we want, and CNN can talk about slut shaming all they want. Look, in order to shame someone, they have to have shame inside of them, right? Shame is your body or your mind telling you that something in your life is wrong. And if you don't have that ability to be self-aware enough to recognize that, then there's no amount of discussion that can go on that would make you shamed. So all of this nonsense about slut shaming is, by #NeverCNN, is intentionally diverting from the points of the case, and those are these. Donald Trump could ultimately serve, I think the figure that I saw was 130 years in jail. 130 years in jail if criminally convicted of all of the charges against him in the New York City case. And I beg of you to tell me what crime he has committed that would merit 130 some odd years in jail. Alvin Bragg has refused to define the crime that he claims Donald Trump was seeking to conceal when payments for a non-disclosure agreement were listed as a legal expense. Let's suggest for a moment that Bel Kay is on trial, that I am prosecuting Bel Kay for crimes. And one of the crimes that I say that he did was a misdemeanor that's already past the statute of limitations. But I say, well, wait a minute, but I'm tying that together with another crime, and that makes it a felony. That, I understand that this was a misdemeanor deal and the statute is passed on that. But if I tie it to a felony, that has no statute of limitations. And if I tie it to another crime, it has no statute of limitations, and it becomes a felony. And so what does Bel Kay do? He is on trial. He is engaged in the fight of his life with regard to his freedom. He could go to jail for the rest of his life if convicted of this crime. What crime? We are still waiting to know what crime. Alvin Bragg has refused, and the judge has allowed him to refuse. None of this will pass appeal. None of this will get past a real judge in a real courtroom. None of it. Forget that it's Donald Trump. I'm telling you that there is a man on trial, and the prosecutors in the case refuse to tell him what crime he's accused of committing. Can you please tell me how in the world that is justice? In the American system of justice, I learned when I was a child that there are certain things that have to be done in a court of law. The prosecution has to do what? They have to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, that we are allowed to be judged by a jury of our peers, and they have to clearly define the crimes that they claim you committed and that you have a right to face your accusers. And if I sound upset about it, I am. Not because I support Donald Trump, but because I support the United States of America and our justice system, which up until today was the greatest system conceived of on God's green earth. Perfect? Of course not. Imperfect? Absolutely. But it was a good system. It still is.
I have a question. You've got an extremely good memory. Do you have any recall of what was used as the justification for the payments Clinton made to the women accusing him?
I don't know that they used any justification.
So they just cut a check and it was like, okay, thanks.
Oh gosh, someone might be able to correct me. I know that they had the Clinton war room and they called them bimbo eruptions and they paid these women off to not come forward with their stories. But I don't know that they ever wrote these things off as, I don't know what, I'll be honest with you. I can't remember where the money came from.
It just stuns me that we have this going on, but when that occurred, it was like, oh, cost of doing business.
That's right. Oh no, it was an open secret amongst Washington D.C. circles. He was paying these women off, and I think as long as he was not using campaign money to do it, it was considered fine. Well, Donald Trump did not use campaign money to do this. He used his own money to do this. It infuriates me that you watch CNN for the length of time you watch MSNBC for the length of time that you watch. Thankfully, they have good people like Jonathan Turley over on Fox News who has reminded us of this consistently, and what a great lawyer he is. That this judge in this case, Merchant, is allowing the case to go forward. The team of Donald Trump, think about this for a moment, and I know I have to go to a break. They aren't allowed to know the next witness that is coming before them. So his defense cannot, let's imagine that Bell is on the stand. I'm trying to take it away from Trump to take the politics out of it. And I'm his attorney, and we're sitting in the room tonight. And Bell's like, man, I think it's going okay. And I was like, yeah, I think it's going good too. Hey, do we know what they're charging me with? No, we don't know the underlying crime yet, Bell. They won't tell us. Well, what about the witness? What are you doing to prepare for the witness tomorrow? Well, Bell, I don't know who's going to be on the stand tomorrow. They won't tell me. Wait a minute. My life is on the line. I could go to jail for 100 years and they won't tell my defense team what witness is coming on the stand tomorrow? So that you guys can prepare cross-examination? No, they won't tell us, Bell.
That's how you know it's all performative, because like you said, this is going to get thrown out on appeal.
Every bit of it. Every bit of it. It's fascinating. All right, 125 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Your thoughts on this coming up in just a moment. Hey, friends, the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is here for you if you have neck pain, back pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain, any pain on your body, really. They can help you. The Dr. Gill Center is a chiropractic care center, and traditionally when we think of that, we think of spine, we think of bones, we think of spinal care, generally speaking, but it's so much more than that in the modern era. Now they have state-of-the-art industry equipment like their Class 5 laser system and their red light therapy that are designed for soft tissue so that they help find and reduce pain and swelling and inflammation within the body and accelerate healing. So regardless of where the pain is, whether it's spinal in nature or otherwise, they can assist you at the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. I want you to go by and schedule an appointment or call them and schedule an appointment today. You'll find relief. Don't take a pill. Don't continue to take pills. Don't take needles in the body, and don't consider surgery without talking to the best in the business, the originator, the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. 615-882-4838, 882-4838. Call today. You see the nice gift I just got?
That is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
That look good on the wall in the office.
I don't. Whose office?
Your office at home.
Oh, my office.
Yeah, at home.
I could prop it up right next to the delicious Dolly Parton cake mix that you bought me. Someone did Johnny B give you this?
No, that was sent in by a listener, and Glenna had made a cake for the listener, and the listener sent in gifts to the various hosts.
Oh, well, that's so sweet. Well, this listener gave me that's very, very, it's a Lodge Dolly Parton seasoned cast iron guitar skillet. Look at there. Isn't that nice? That's very sweet. Thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Listener. And some hand towels, which are also very nice. Based on the hand towel, I'm going to suggest that this is a female listener. I don't want to be sexist.
It is a female listener, definitely.
But you know what this is perfect for?
What?
Eggs.
Oh yeah, it's good. Yeah,
pop an egg in there. Perfect. I bet that's what they tell you to do with it. One way or the other, it's a very, very sweet and thoughtful gift. Thank you so much to the listener that sent us that. Let's see. I want to get to Sean because he's checking in with us from some sort of incarcerated facility. Hello, Sean. How are you? Sean, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Everything going okay? Are you still in the mental facility?
I'm still here for an evaluation. It's still ongoing.
And what are they saying, Sean?
Nothing. They're not telling me nothing, Matt.
Oh, why is that? I mean, don't you have certain rights, don't you?
I have some rights, but evidently not in here.
What are they? I mean, they're telling you that they need to evaluate you to what? To make sure that you can still. I mean, you were incarcerated before.
It was a forensic evaluation for the courtroom.
Okay.
After the forensic evaluation stopped, it was done in about 3 to 4 weeks. Once that forensic evaluation stopped, they put me in another unit of this hospital, and that's where I'm at now. So. I guess it's safe to say I'm sort of in limbo.
Have you gone to trial for the charges against you, or is that what this is all about?
No, they dropped the charge. They dropped the charge.
So this evaluation is just to determine whether or not you can get out?
I have no idea. Mr. Murphy, I have no idea what this evaluation, the purpose of it.
Do you have someone representing you, Sean?
Yes, sir. I've got a good attorney, one of the best attorneys in Gallatin, Mr. Thomas J. Martin, Jr. He's one of the best attorneys in Gallatin. But because this is a state-run facility, his hands are tied and my hands are tied. So I don't know, go right or go left. I'm just stuck in limbo. So
you have access to him, though, right?
I can call him on the telephone. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure you're doing that instead of, I appreciate our calls, but you should do that instead of calling me,
Right. Well, I'll call him, too, today a couple times. But I want to say something about Mr. Trump, if I could.
Yes, sir.
I'm just checking in for legal, military, and political purposes in light of Mr. Trump and the mental health of Tennessee's Republican Party. The judicial process and the courtroom setting is mentally and physically exhausting. Mr. Trump could use a pep rally to show solidarity, while this judicial technique, course, or process takes precedent. This here is a very straining system that I'm in right now.
I bet. It's better than jail, though, right?
It's maybe one notch above jail.
Okay.
But it drains you. It just drains you.
What can I do to help you, Sean?
You're doing a great job, Mr. Murphy, over the radio. You're doing great. You keep people informed. You show that you care.
Okay.
That's what the Republican Party needs right now, instead of bureaucrats, in my opinion. So I think you're doing a good job of doing what you're doing.
Well, I meant more for you personally. I mean, is there anything I can do to help your situation out?
No, let's just be transparent.
Okay. Well, I'll look. You call me anytime. We can talk anytime. I'm sorry for what you're going through, and I hope that you get the help you need, man.
It's just another stepping stone, Mr. Murphy. Just one more stepping stone.
All right. You take care over there, okay?
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you. There's Sean. Sean was in jail for a while, and he is now in a mental health facility. They transferred him from jail to a mental health facility to get a mental evaluation, and he's undergoing that. And I feel for him. 134, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back in a moment. 134, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, Bell. Back in a moment. Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy. Defend Systems is a life security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. I say life security because that's really what it is all about, right? Whether it's at work, at church, at school, wherever you might be, there are aspects of life where you get around a lot of other people. And sadly, I'm here to tell you that in a dangerously developing world, you never know when you're in a situation that might escalate dramatically and quickly. They have trained well over 30 Middle Tennessee schools, and I bet that number is way in excess of 30 now because this was probably a year ago that I received that figure. The training is far more than simply checking a box. It's Brink Fiddler and his team of experts going to schools, corporations, healthcare facilities, law firms, manufacturing facilities, and much, much more, assisting you into understanding how to respond to dangerous situations like an active shooter, a workplace violence situation. And Brink wants to remind you, and I'm here to tell you, that the odds are very low that this will happen to you, but they're not zero. That means you need to get trained. Hope is not an answer. Let's get trained together. With Defend Systems, they're the best in the business at doing this. DefendSystems.com. And by the way, I've been through three different training courses with Brink and his team, and they are top notch. 615-236-6484, 236-6484, DefendSystems.com. That's DefendSystems.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I found the card. It's
hey, Matt.
Carrie.
It's called talk radio for a reason.
Carrie, Carrie. Carrie wrote the letter. Well,
that was actually a very thoughtful
gift.
It's
a very nice gift, and thank you so much for the kind words. I'll just share some of the words with you. She said, never stop. She knows my love of Dolly Parton. I'm well established on that.
Who doesn't?
Dolly Parton is the finest human being walking the face of the earth, and I defy you to tell me that I'm wrong. You can't, because there isn't a better one. And Carrie wrote, never stop believing. Dolly might just walk through that door one day. And no, I don't know. This is funny. And no, I don't know her, but I'd believe. That's nice. So Carrie's not saying that she's got any angle on it. She's just saying that, you never know. One of these days you might get to meet her. I would.
I think she's lying. I think she probably knows her personally.
I'm trying to decide if I would give my pinky toe for a meet and greet with Dolly. I mean, like an hour. Not like a
sit-down conversation.
Like a sit-down, genuine, like dinner.
Yeah.
I'd think on it.
And, normally I say never meet your heroes, but I don't think Dolly would be a letdown.
I don't think Dolly would disappoint. I don't think. She would not stossel me. I've told you the John Stossel
story. She wouldn't bort
you. Or borts me. Oh, my gosh. Neil Bortz was my absolute hero. And I interviewed him on a book tour that he was doing for his Fair Tax book in Birmingham, Alabama. And I interviewed him. It was horrible. I did a horrible job at the interview because I was very flustered. I was meeting a guy that I grew up with that I idolized. And at the end of the interview, we go off air. And you guys remember Bortz, I'm sure. I mean, he was a known commodity. I don't know if he was ever in Nashville.
He was on this station at one point.
Oh, was he now?
Yeah, years ago.
And I absolutely adored him. I mean, Neil Bortz is one of the reasons that I'm a libertarian. He introduced me to libertarianism.
Same here.
And I told him, I said, I just want you to know how much you mean to me, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we're standing up, and I poured my heart out to him about how much he meant to me. And his response was, good luck with your career. And he turned and walked. And just what an absolute.
It's like Dolly walking out of an interview going, enjoy the record.
What an absolute jerk. I mean, what an absolute jerk.
Well, I told you I had a somewhat similar experience with him. So he's an incredibly smart man.
Yep.
And he is a curmudgeon. He is not happy unless he is unhappy.
Yep. I learned that from him. So there you go. One of these days, I hold out hopes and I cross my fingers that Dolly will cross my doorway. Larry's in Clarksville. Larry, what's up?
Thanks, Matt. First of all, maybe you should have told Neil Bortz you loved him at the end of the interview, like Dan seems to do. Secondly, prayers up for Sean.
And I mean, look, and for those that don't know, Sean was a longtime emailer of mine. He's emailed me from an incarcerated. I don't know where he is. He's in a jail somewhere, and now he's in a mental health facility. And I understand that it's probably not the best radio in the world, but I'm going to be a human being to other human beings that I find suffering, and that's all I'm trying to do with that conversation.
Well, and thanks to you and Bell for taking his call.
Sure.
And thanks to Pepto Dan and the staff for the coverage they did last night, even though Dan still probably has some cream packets in his pockets that he stole. But tell Bell K to have his hand on the red dump button.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Watch out now.
Well, I'm going to do my best, Matt. What other trial in this country is the prosecution not required by law and by the Constitution to provide the defense attorney with everything they have?
It makes zero sense. I don't understand how the defense is supposed to conduct an appropriate defense without knowing what Alvin Bragg's what the crime is. I just
isn't the basics of discovery. These are the people we're going to call to the stand. Isn't that you have to provide the defense with your discovery, and isn't that part of discovery?
Apparently, you don't. According they made the claim to Merchant that they were fearful that even though Merchant could have made it against the law, or rather he could have admonished Trump not to do anything with this, they're saying, well, if we tell them what witnesses we're going to call, he's going to trash those witnesses on social media, which would be a violation of his gag order, and he'd go to jail for it. But one way or the other, they're claiming that they can't tell the defense what witnesses are coming up because the defense would trash those witnesses. It's ridiculous.
I have one more thing real quick, Matt. And this is one of the rare times I disagree with Chris. And I was going to try to call him this morning, but the phones were all messed up. I do not want to see Trump put in cuffs and hauled off to jail for several reasons. But I mean, if other investors in the world and other countries in this world see that America has become a banana republic and we will put our political opponents in jail, they're going to stop investing.
They're going to stop investing.
Yes. I mean, who is going to invest in a banana republic? I mean, I know it would be great for Trump's voters, but it's not going to be great for our economy.
Are you talking about temporarily jailing him for a violation of the gag? I didn't hear the conversation this morning.
Yeah. I mean, Chris has said several times that, he would love to see them purple Trump just for the fact that would guarantee his presidency. And it probably would, but to the rest of the world, it's going to say the United States has become a banana republic under Joe Biden, and we're going to stop investing.
I think the rest of the world knows clearly what's going on here. I hope so, but I think so. It's interesting. I think, without hearing Chris's point, I can understand, and thank you, Larry, for the call. God bless Hank. Tell him we said hello. Larry actually loves his goat, as opposed to Kristi Noem, who kills them. If the question is whether or not, from a political standpoint, it would be good, no, I don't know that I would say that I want to see Trump incarcerated. If Trump is put in jail for violating a gag order that is specious, a gag order that might be a violation of the man's First Amendment right to comment on the basic goings-on of this dog and pony show trial. I mean, while Donald Trump and his team, they are appealing the gag order as we speak. And I think a judge in the case in New York an appellate court has agreed to take up the appeal of the gag order, saying that this is a violation of my First Amendment rights. So while I would like the immediate impact of watching Trump perp, I do think that it would benefit him. I think it would help him greatly. And it would solidify in the minds of the American people what an absolute joke this trial truly is. I kind of agree with you, Larry, that I don't know that that's a good look long term for the stability of the United States of America and our justice system, especially when it concerns attitudes around the world. I understand your concern. But in the short term, it would give me great pleasure if this happened, because it would further galvanize on the record and in our memories the exact nature of the nonsense of this trial. So earlier in the week, we don't know what crime that Trump was seeking to conceal when payments for the non-disclosure agreement were listed as a legal expense, right? This was a non-disclosure agreement offered to Stormy Daniels as a legal defense. Alvin Bragg has refused to tell us what that is. He's saying, well, you'll know it when you see it at trial. So we're still waiting. Well, the prosecution this week fought with Trump's defense counsel to not only call pornographic adult film star Stormy Daniels to the stand, but then they got her to talk about all of the sordid details of the alleged sexual encounter with Donald Trump. They literally had to tell the judge, Juan Merchan, in the case that I'm quoting this now. This is me quoting. I would not say this were it not a direct quote from a trial involving a former president of the United States of America to a judge in good standing with the state of New York, that they promised that while Stormy Daniels was on the stand, that they would not go into details of genitalia. And so Merchant said, oh, okay, as long as you don't do that, you're fine. And so then he immediately allowed prosecutors to go into all of the details of the affair, despite the fact that it has nothing to do with anything. It has nothing to do with anything that he's being charged with, except that the non-disclosure agreement existed because of the allegations of an affair. You understand, the only reason that Stormy Daniels testifies to the intimate details of the affair is if Donald Trump's team was arguing that they never gave a non-disclosure agreement or they never paid her. Donald Trump is not saying that he never paid Stormy Daniels. Donald Trump is not saying that they didn't enter a non-disclosure agreement. They're saying that none of that is illegal. It is also uncontested, as Jonathan Turley has noted, that Trump wanted to pay to get the story from being published. Once again, not illegal. There was zero value to this woman testifying, yet the judge in the case was perfectly fine with it. As a matter of fact, he seemed to want to try to humiliate Donald Trump. That seems to be the only reason that she testified yesterday. Not today, but yesterday or day before. And then Merchant, after the lunch break, came back and said, I agree that it would have been better if some of these things had been left unsaid. And then he immediately denied a motion for a mistrial based on the testimony and blamed the defense for not objecting more. The defense objected to her testifying at all. I mean, what a joke. Malika and Adam will get to you in a moment as we continue on the Matt Murphy Show on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. In the meantime, I've got an update on Flagstock. I'll tell you about that. The John Rich proposal that he offered a concert to these fraternity brothers that stood in defense of the United States of America's flag on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill. We'll talk about that. Also give you a brief update on Sebastian Rogers, that case ongoing in Hendersonville and Sumner County. That's on the way on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. I'm certainly not trying to prevent you from going to the Glock store like right now, today, this May 9th. I'm not trying to prevent you to go tomorrow or the next day or next week. I am telling you this. You need to mark your calendar down for June 1st. That is a Saturday, and you're invited to be a part of the 4th annual open house at the Glock store. Lenny McGill will be there. I will be there. Dan Mandis will be there. Chris Hand will be there, along with maybe thousands. I don't know if it's thousands, but certainly hundreds of other people enjoying food and fellowship, talking about the Second Amendment, looking at the incredible selection, and raffles galore. There are a lot of things being given away on this open house day, to include a $1,700 Glock. This is a custom-made item that I am not eligible for, and I'm very upset about it. So go today, go tomorrow, go next week. They're on Airlane Drive just off of Elm Hill Pike. But mark your calendar down to be there bright and early, 10 a.m. for the open house. It's 4th annual open house at the Glock store with Matt Murphy, Supertalk 99.7 WTN, Dan Mandis, Chris Hand, and many, many others. I invite you to come on out, and we'll see you at the Glock store.
2 o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. It's 83 degrees, and that sun is back out after a treacherous and fatal night of storms in the mid-state. Multiple road closures from that severe weather, including in Murray County, Bear Creek Pike between 65 and Tom J. Hitch Parkway, and then Nashville Highway between Burt Drive and Carter's Creek Pike. We'll give you that complete weather forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Sticking with weather here in Middle Tennessee, Colioca State Rep Scott Sapicki tells WTN's Nashville's Morning News that it's too soon for volunteers, but when that time comes, it'll be a massive response.
The outpouring from our churches, from our communities. I'll tell you this, I've gotten more phone calls from local high schools right now of high schoolers wanting to volunteer to help people clean up debris, to help give out supplies. It is just a testament, Dan, to the volunteer state of how people we are Tennessee.
And for now, Murray County officials asked civilians to stay away from the affected areas to give first responders all the space that they need. But if you can and want to donate money, you can do so online at murraycounty-tennessee.org. And in that area, one woman died in their home after it was blown off of its foundation from a tornado. She was found in the woods among 12 others who were pulled up from debris. In other dangerous Mother Nature events around the nation, an active search underway outside of Salt Lake City for several skiers caught in an avalanche. Here's Alex Stone.
3 skiers in the Little Cottonwood Canyon area of Salt Lake County in the Wasatch Mountains disappeared in an avalanche, and Sergeant Amy Race with the Unified Police Department of Greater Salt Lake says resources are up looking for the missing skiers.
We're very much actively working this right now.
They've launched helicopters and are using dogs trying to find the buried skiers in a ravine area.
And that is the latest news. Weather forecast on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
My goodness, with all of the rain in the area over the last couple of days, it is important that you understand what that can do to your foundation and what that can do to your basement or your crawl space. You know, USS is the company that you've trusted in your crawl space for 30 years, and they're now offering mold treatment, perfect timing with all of the humidity and all of the rain that we've had. And I want you to take advantage of this opportunity and give them a call. Look down in that basement or crawl space. I mean, do you see standing water? If that's the case, then you've got a problem. No matter how much it rains, you should be protected from mold, mildew, or moisture in your basement or your crawl space. And if you're not, you need to call USS. They understand because they've seen it time after time after time. It does no good to remove the mold if you don't take the proper steps to prevent it from coming back again. That's why they offer their RTE solution. Remove, treat, and encap, as in encapsulate. Don't wait. Call today. If you smell mold or mildew, if you understand that you've got a situation in your basement or your crawl space, it is time to call the best. Call USS. They've been helping people just like you for over 30 years. They guarantee their best. Call USS. Keeping homes stable and dry since 1994. 615-488-7855 or online, USSTN.com, USSTN.com. Hey, is Maury still back there? I can't see him.
I think he went to the bathroom to hang out and read or something.
I don't know the nature of this. I don't know the nature of this note, but I wanted to check with him on something. Real quick, it's 2:05. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Show, my first day of this week, and I thank you for being around on this Thursday edition, May 9 edition. It's episode 567. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Once again, if you weren't listening in the first 2 hours, allow me to go over a couple of the pleasantries one more time. Yeah, I want to talk to him for a second. Allow me to go over the pleasantries one more time, and then we'll get on to a few of your telephone calls and some other things. Number one, our hearts and our prayers are going out to those affected by the storms yesterday. They were dramatic. They knew the levels of meteorology, which is not an easy word for me to say, never has been, have gone up in my time in radio. There was a time where we were, unsure of the impact of some of these storms. They've gotten better at predicting when they're certain that dramatic storms are going to happen, giving individuals advance warning. They did so. Sadly, we saw a tornado, not sure of the size or scope. They measure those things. It's my understanding, when you talk about the EF scale, the EF scale is measured based on damage. It's not measured based on the size of the tornado. It's not measured on how wide it is or how impactful it is in particular. It's measured on overall damage at the scene, and it takes a few days to assess that from the National Weather Service. They'll be doing that over the next several days, and we'll get some reports as to the exact size and scope. But here's what I've always said. If it hits your house, it's an EF5. I mean, you're right. I mean, if no matter how damaging or non-damaging it was for you. For example, I've always said, and this is a good way of explaining it, that, when you hear the unemployment rate, it doesn't mean a lot to you. If you're unemployed, the unemployment rate's 100%, right? So if your house gets damaged by a tornado, it doesn't matter what I tell you the damaging winds were or how fast they were going or whatever. You understand the impact in a way that I never will. And so we feel for you. We've already had an individual reach out to the show, and I've not been able to communicate with him yet because I'm engaged in it. But the nephew of the woman who passed away in Colombia reached out to us, and we are being told that she did not have homeowner's insurance. We're being told that his sister and his sister's children were in the house at the time that she died, and that they were saved because they were in a bathroom area and she was in another area of the house. So we're investigating fully that and figuring out what exactly we can do for that family, and we're going to try to do for that family. Mac, I don't know if you mentioned this during the newscast. 1608 says that Bear Creek Pike in Columbia is now open, that it is not closed.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
That might just be a recent update that happened.
Yeah, I have not had my traffic site update that yet, so okay. I will.
Okay,
gotcha.
So,
well, thanks to the Members Nutrition Super Text.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So 1608, hopefully that's good information to pass along for the folks. I would say this, regardless of whether it's open or closed, unless you have specific and immediate business in that area, you probably want to stay away because there's a lot of cleanup going on. There's a lot of damage assessment going on. There's a lot of activity going on. And the last thing we need are sightseers and that sort of thing. I'm not saying that 1608 would have been a sightseer, but there's that. Secondarily, away from the tragedy that happened yesterday, I have a question for you, Mr. Morey.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Hello.
Hello. It's been, I've missed you. How are you?
Oh, that's nice.
I have.
That's great. I've met, of all of the people around here, I've missed some of them. Anyway, so do you remember your graduation? Did you go to your college graduation?
I did. I flew back from Wyoming. I took my last semester, graduated a semester early, did my last semester online, flew back to graduate. Yep.
Okay. Do you remember your commencement speaker?
No.
I don't. No. By the way, just for the record.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's a long time ago. I don't.
I'm sure he or she was awesome.
Then they.
Yeah. Hey, you're right. My bad.
I was at my niece's graduation.
Yes.
Tuesday.
Georgia Southern? Is that correct?
Georgia Southern in
Nice.
Statesboro, Georgia.
That's awesome.
And, they split the graduating classes because there's too many of them. It was still a 3-hour long ceremony.
Gosh, that's too much.
And we had someone that graduated from Georgia Southern, and it was my least favorite type of human being. It was.
It's a high bar.
And I have a lot
I was
of
going to say, you've got a lot of not favorite humans.
So this woman, she is in public relations. She worked for the Atlanta Braves. She worked for Coca-Cola, and she's now like head of public relations for Nike. So
Dang.
You would think that this is a pretty good speaker.
Yeah.
And would be able to. She actually said the word, and I hope you guys understand it. She actually said the words, I live now in Seattle, Washington, as public relations consultant for Nike. And you can take the girl out of the South, but you cannot take the South out of the girl. Pause for applause. No applause. And then she said, and I'm thinking, the theme of the speech. You want to guess the theme of the speech? She's public relations for Nike. What was the theme of the speech, everybody?
I don't know. Perseverance? What was it?
Just do it.
Oh. No. Oh, the cringe.
It's so cringy.
Cringe.
Oh, it's so gross.
Just do what? Drink Bud Light?
Just do it.
Just do it.
If your next steps take you into the working world, just do it.
What are you doing?
If your next steps take you to graduate school, just do it. If you're going to be and on and on. And then, no, she said, the woman is in public relations. She's in communications. And she said these words. You here today, you've done it. You've accomplished the impossible. Well, what I would like for you to just do is run on over to the Barnes & Nobles and pick yourself up a Funk and Wagnall's dictionary, because I don't think you understand what impossible means. Because if you can accomplish something, then it wasn't impossible.
And if millions of people do it every year,
then it's not impossible. Now, she's reflecting on she didn't say they said you couldn't do it and you did it, or some said it was about. She said it was impossible for you to graduate college. Anyway.
I'm just picturing the camera crew coming out. Like, all right, cool, that's the Nike commercial. We did it. We just did it. That's so stupid.
Just so bad.
That's terrible.
Just get off the stage.
Kudos to the crowd for not applauding. Nice job, guys.
No, it was good. It was
That's good.
They were just. I think that half of them were passed out from the heat. It was like 91 degrees.
Oh, outside?
They're in the stadium. They're in the stadium.
Oh.
They're in the bowl. They're on the field.
Ooh.
It's 91 degrees.
Ooh.
And this woman's, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do what? Hit you in the face?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I want to just do. That's what I want. You know what I want to just do? I want to just get my diploma and just leave.
Please.
Has there ever been a good grad? I mean, no offense. I understand that it's a big day, and I was there for my niece, and the family was there, and we all had a good time.
And she was happy, I'm sure.
And she was happy, and we're glad. But and I understand that it's a big, but are there any good graduations? I mean, like you understand. Hey, Belle, would you just move your head just a little so I can see? Thank you. I appreciate it. Glad for you to participate in the show.
So, me and Murphy have a sliver.
I'm watching grumpy ass Belle K do something over there while I'm trying to talk to Mac Morey. Oh, you have a little drink there, Belle? You enjoyed yourself?
He's parched.
Y'all thirsty from your hard work?
Ran out of whiskey, unfortunately.
I don't know. I just look at these moments in life a little bit differently, because I don't know. I understand that I'm supposed to act like a civilized member of society when invited to a wedding. But I don't know of a wedding that I've ever been to. I mean, that I enjoyed.
Dan, man, it's like, hey, what?
No, well, I'll say this about at least Mandis and Amy. They held those. They were at the Parthenon.
Yeah.
And so there was some sort of festival going on while we were at the. You remember this? While we were at the wedding.
Wow.
So I was enjoying watching Dan get more and more nervous as the people of the festival got louder and louder.
Oh, I can picture that. That's beautiful.
And the reception, from what I remember, was absolutely delightful.
Yeah, it was. Food was good.
It was lovely. That big chick in the gold made a scene.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
The one right up front. Mm-hmm. I can't believe she wore that, though. She outclassing the bride. Or trying to.
There was someone in gold?
Oh, yeah. Big chick. Big, tall.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
What was her name?
I was like, all right, I get it.
Athena?
I think it was Athena. I think that's right. You know, thank you, Mac Morey, for not. That's the only way that would have worked is if somebody did. Anyway, so that's that. So yeah, it was at and she'd just do it, and it's awful. David might have a thought. I don't know about the Bear Creek Pike situation. Avoid that area if at all possible. David, do you have an update for us? Hey, David, you there? David? I guess not. I'm going to put him back on hold, see if we can get to him. Malika has a thought from Nashville about Donald Trump and the trial that we were discussing a little bit earlier, as it is ongoing today, day number 14 of the ridiculous Trump trial. Malika, you're on the radio. What's up?
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. My thoughts and our prayers are with everyone impacted by the storm. We are Tennessee strong, and we will help each other. I would like to say this is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous that he's trying to play. Everything's about politics now, and it's ridiculous. And Trump did nothing wrong. And that's all I have to say. Thanks for taking my call.
Well, thank you for calling, Malika. I appreciate you very much. 615-737-9986. 615-737-WWTN. So now a lot of you are now offering thoughts on graduations. John writes in, graduations are insufferable because the academic pinheads arrange them. Well, they are. I mean, it's obligatory, and I understand it's ceremonial, and these types of ceremonial things, we have to be respectful of them. But I have a difficult time maintaining a certain level of civility in common society going to these types of perfunctory events. That's all. 218 Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Skip is next in Dixon. Hello, Skip.
Hey, how you doing, Matt?
Pretty good, Skip. How are you?
I am good. I just want to comment on the dog killing thing. I was the victim of my dog attacked a person.
All right, hold on. Sorry about that, Steve. I think we lost you for a second. Your dog attacked a person?
Yes.
Okay.
Much like hers did.
Okay. Well.
Okay. And mine was a young pup.
How did? Wait a minute. We're talking about Christy Dome.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How did her dog attack a person? Tell me the story.
All I know is what I heard on your radio station in the book that.
Are you there? Hey, Steve. Yo, Steve. Did I lose you? Hey, Steve, I lost you for a second, man.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm right here.
Okay, so the reason I say that is because Christy Nome's story, and I'm not that interested in getting into this. Her political career is toast, by the way. I get that. Not just because of the dog thing, but then turns out she lied about meeting world leaders, and
I saw that,
and it was just ridiculous. But we're all her story changed considerably from the story that she wrote in the book till now. This dog has become more and more and more vicious. So I don't really know what to believe. And if she's lying about meeting a world leader, I don't know what she's lying about in the rest of the book.
And I get that. Yeah. I just want to say that if somebody has to put down a dog, it may not necessarily be cruel. It may be to literally. I'm a farm guy, so I've got coyotes, I've got all kinds of stuff, and I've never had to do it, but I've had to put my elderly dogs down. But the point I'm making is when the insurance agent came up, it was like, if that dog makes one move at my car, we're canceling your home insurance. It was I won't say the name of the company, but it was scary, because if he stepped out of that car and that dog made one move for him, I'm getting back in and you're canceled.
Well, here's the point of the dog story. No one is denying, I mean, at least no reasonable person that understands farms, understands life on one, would suggest that there aren't times in your life when you encounter a vicious animal that's attacking other people or attacking livestock that you don't have to deal with. The question is, do you have other options?
And you really don't if it's a I had to kill a couple of coyotes, for example. I didn't want to.
Coyotes are wild animals. They're not domesticated animals.
I understand that, but the damage they were doing was, it's significant. But other dogs, not in my area, but mine did. Mine, and actually, my dog didn't bite anybody. Actually, what happened was the kid ran and he was playing with it, and he scratched the back of this kid with his paws when he jumped on it to play. He licked him, but it didn't matter.
What did you kill? I mean, you didn't kill the dog?
No, I had to take it and have him put down.
You had a dog put down because the dog was playing with a kid and scratched the kid?
Right. I was sued.
All right, goodbye. Did I hear him correctly? Did I hear him correctly?
I think you did.
I think I did too. So I'm done. 222, Super Talk 99.7. I mean, no offense, Steve. You brought up the conversation. I think we should probably suspend the conversation at that point. You decided to take a dog to have him put down because the dog was playing with a kid. Those are your words, not my words. The dog didn't bite the kid, was playing with a kid and accidentally scratched the kid. And that's a reason to kill the dog. So I'm got nothing but love for you, Steve. I think maybe it's best if we just end the conversation right there.
My old boss, when I worked in Atlanta for a record company, he developed brain cancer and died. He was never a nice guy to begin with, but he had his dog euthanized so it could be buried with him.
Well, that's crazy too. He said he was sued. No. You give the dog away. That's not going to stop a lot. Everybody's going, oh, he said he was sued. He said he was sued. No. The suit has nothing to do with the fact that he killed the dog.
Some people shouldn't be animal owners.
No. Y'all misunderstand. Everybody, oh, he said he was sued. He said he was sued. He said he was sued. So what? That is something that happened after the fact. So the kid's parents sued him for what? For the dog. Killing the dog's not going to change the lawsuit? I have no interest in the conversation. I have no interest in someone. Well, it does not matter if you were sued. So your dog is playing with someone else, playing with a kid, accidentally scratches the kid. The family of the kid sues you for the dog scratching you. And all of you folks are suggesting that it was somehow a requirement of the lawsuit. You don't know, and I don't know either. And I don't really have any interest in hearing the rest of the story. I mean, I don't. A court, 3543, it might have been a court order. I defy you to show me a case in American judicial history in which it was established that the dog had no aggressive intent in causing damages to another person, and a court ordered that dog to be destroyed without any evidence that the dog did not have any aggression, which the caller said. I didn't say. No, I did. 1223 said I hung up on him. I hung up on him because I did not have any interest in furthering that conversation. 225 on Super Talk. You know, we used to call it Mill Creek View, Tennessee. We now call it Heartland Journal, and it's a great organization that I'm so proud to be affiliated with. Steve Abramowitz does a great job interviewing folks on their incredible podcast. You know, and I've been on the podcast once or twice, and I'm always proud to be a part of Heartland Journal in that regard. But it's much more than that. If you go to heartlandjournal.com, you'll see news stories, you'll see news items. I make it a daily stop as I peruse the internet for news, and I invite you to do the same. You can find them on Deezer, iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, and all of your favorite podcast apps. Rumble Video as well. You can't get enough of Heartland Journal, and I invite you to be a part of the Heartland Journal experience. Go to heartlandjournal.com for more info. Find Steve Abramowitz on Heartland Journal and encourage him to do more of what he does. He is a conservative advocacy podcast, and he is great at what he does. Entertainment figures, sports, cultural figures, as well as politics. It's heartlandjournal.com. That's heartlandjournal.com.
Recovery efforts continuing in Murray County, and we've got a 10-year-old in Rutherford County in critical condition after being swept into a storm drain because of those severe storms. 2:30 Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Very controversial. Very controversial. My decision to hang up on Steve. I stand by it. I'm not judging Steve, and I'm not judging the rest of the story. I just did not believe that there was any more good to come out of this story. Steve, I don't hate on you, and I wish you well. Hope you keep listening to the show, buddy. 615-737-9986. Hey, speaking of Steve's, I just talked about this guy, Steve Abramowitz of Heartland Journal. What's up, Steve?
Hey, that's not me. I want everyone to know that I didn't put my dog down. I did once when it ate some rat poison in the neighbor's yard, but that was not.
Oh, I'm sorry that you had to do it. See, that's an understandable reason to have to put a dog down. That makes sense. I mean, that's sad, but it makes sense.
Terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, I bet.
Terrible. But I wanted to call to welcome you back, number one. Number two, congratulate you on your Peabody Award, right?
Oh, did I win a Peabody Award?
Yeah. It was called It Comes to Main Street. It was in collaboration with Channel 5, I believe. And it says here, congrats to all the members of the NC5 team who played a role in this incredible project, including Brian Staples, Kev Wisniewski at Twitter, and Bob Stinnett. Proud of you all. Oh, wait, I don't see Matt Murphy or Steve Abramowitz on there, but it was all about the 84th annual
wait a minute, is this
Peabody Award.
did Phil Williams win an award based on your interview and my reporting of the this is great. Congratulations, Abramowitz.
Well, I'm waiting for mine to come in the mail. I wasn't invited. I don't think they give them for podcasters yet. That's a category that's overlooked, but it does say, big news, our investigation of Gabrielle Hansen in the Franklin election is a Peabody Award winner. Peabody Award Stories That Matter, and I'm elated to be recognized amongst this tremendous class of storytelling excellence. # Peabody winner. I'm going to put # Peabody winner on there too, because without me, he would never went to Brian Oliver or whatever that guy's name is. You can see that on his banner. Phil Williams is on Twitter. It's got him and Oliver calling him a noisy B word. So he's very proud of that.
Well, look,
I think our bodies must be in the mail.
Well, obviously, Phil Williams has been riding our coattails for some time now, Abramowitz. So,
totally.
It's you get used to it after a while. I mean, I do not believe for a second that he would have done any mildly critical piece about Representative Justin Jones had I not been all over that tushy, which I was and still am. So good. I'm glad that we're getting him recognized for some of the wonderful bias to journalism that he does or does not do.
It is. I'm going to have to go buy a tuxedo and probably walk the red carpet. I don't know. It's going to be a big event, but to be honest with you, if I was invited to something like that, I wouldn't go. Would you really want to hang out with TV reporters in a formal evening when you could be out, watching the grass grow?
Absolutely, I would. I love hanging around a-holes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sorry.
Sorry. Hey, I'm so glad that you got to go to a graduation. My alma mater canceled theirs because of campus craziness. Across the street at UCLA was way worse because they're still there. They're sleeping in the dirt with no bathrooms and showers. But USC decided to cave to the terrorists and not have graduation. So my movie-making partner's daughter did not get to go through graduation, just like she had to be online for 2 years during COVID. What a waste of money that was.
Well, the graduation speaker at this event said that because of COVID, the students there accomplished the impossible, which is not a preferred sentence. Steve, thank you for letting me know about Phil Williams. I'll have to take due credit for that one as well. There's Steve Abramowitz with Heartland Journal. We'll get to more of your calls momentarily, and the controversy of my hanging up on the other Steve continues on the membersnutrition.com super text. Now, everybody's mad at me for what you get mad at me for yelling at them, and I don't want to do that. I'm getting yelled at right now because I'm not going to McMurray in the newsroom, and he gets very angry if that. I know I'm way late. Would you do me a favor?
Oh, you know what I'm going to do.
Don't say the time.
No,
don't say it.
You know what I'm going to do.
Right.
And I'm going to.
All right, it's 2:30 on Super Talk. Don't listen to him. Go.
Got to do it. Part of the gig. 2:34. I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Currently 83 degrees. Pretty sunny day, which juxtaposed yesterday, obviously. A lot of severe weather that the mid-state suffered. We got a weather forecast telling you all about that on the way. We've got recovery efforts in Murray County. One woman dead from a tornado hitting her home, ruining that foundation. She was found in the woods among 12 others entrapped in debris. For now, Murray County officials asking civilians to stay away from those affected areas. Give first responders all the space that they need. But if you can and want to donate money, you can do so online at murray-county-tennessee.org. Over in Murfreesboro, Rutherford County Schools Director Jimmy Sullivan saying his youngest son is in critical condition. Sullivan says 10-year-old Asher's heart beat was reestablished, but his brain may be severely damaged after getting swept into a storm drain in their neighborhood after one of the storms yesterday. His father says that his lungs are severely damaged and that there are not many signs of brain activity outside of muscle jerks. That is the latest news. Weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
There are a lot of do's and don'ts about cicadas, and I don't pretend to know all of the do's and don'ts about cicadas, but U.S. Pest, they most certainly do. Their Facebook game is strong when it comes to cicada season. It only comes around once every 17 or so years, and they have some tips of the road and some do's and some don'ts there. If you go and join them at U.S. Pest on Facebook, U.S. Pest on Facebook, they can help you out. You can also go to their website, uspest.com, for all of your creepy crawly needs. I say creepy crawlies, I mean we're talking about ticks, and we're talking about fleas, and we're talking about stink bugs, and we're talking about spiders. I get the willies. I always pull this out as I talk about U.S. Pest because they have full service pest control. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, they have spiders and stink bugs and ants and ladybugs and mice and silverfish and roaches and much more. They offer a 100% money back guarantee. They deal with common Tennessee pest and uncommon Tennessee pest. They have termite protection, crawl space services as well. They do it all. But more than that, J.K. and Eric are wonderful people. They run a great company, but they are great Americans, and I am proud to be associated with them. I was just looking online, or looking down the road. I was coming into work this morning, and I saw the big U.S. Pest sign there right before you get to the loop, and the American flags flying proudly above it. That's what they do at U.S. Pest. They believe in this country, and they believe in making it bug-free. USPest.com, that's USPest.com, or call 590-1260. 590-1260 for U.S. Pest. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy, Dr. Stephen Pass, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center want you to make a call if you don't sleep well at night. If you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like you're getting a good night's rest, do you know if it's sleep apnea or not? Have you had a sleep apnea test? Well, if you've had a test and they've indicated to you that you have sleep apnea, did you know that there's an appliance available to you that is not a CPAP machine? If you're CPAP intolerant, this is an alternative to people who have sleep apnea, mild to moderate sleep apnea. I know this because I now have an appliance. Dr. Pass, we talked about my lack of energy, my lack of drive. He said, you need to get a sleep test. I got a sleep test done, and lo and behold, I had sleep apnea, despite the fact that I don't snore that much. I don't snore typical of sleep apnea sufferers, but I do have it. And now I'm sleeping better thanks to my appliance. It is such an easy remedy to what is a very serious situation. 25% of Americans have sleep apnea, and most are unaware of it. Major health issues could result, like memory fog, diabetes, weight gain, high blood pressure, and so much more. Let's get to it. Let's talk to Dr. Stephen Pass and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. 2 locations, and oh, by the way, they're in network for most major medical companies like BCBS, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, and TRICARE for the military. Dr. Pass has Brentwood and Murfreesboro offices for you. drpass.com for more information and telephone numbers. drposs.com, drpass.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you, my first day back. Sean says, I love you, Matt, and I love your show, but that was a BS move. Okay. A lot of reaction to me hanging up on the dog guy. A lot of reaction. For example, 80... This is my favorite one of all of them, and there's a lot of it on the membersnutrition.com super text line. Matt Murphy has just lost another. I have no interest in your opinions. Then why were you here to begin with? 8001. I don't understand that. It's interesting because so many of you that are defending the guy are also saying that nobody cares about the Kristi Noem dog story. And was I not doing you a favor by moving on from it? The Kristi Noem dog story pales in comparison to the fact that she lied in her book about meeting Kim Jong-un. And her only defense, I mean, I'm certain that you've talked about this week in my absence. I won't belabor the point, but it needs to be made that she wrote a book. Her name is on the book. And there was a passage in the book in which she claimed to meet Kim Jong-un, and some folks questioned whether or not she actually met Kim Jong-un, and this was her response for the last week.
Donald Trump. He's the only person who will decide this.
He's
the only person who will decide. And I spoke. Yes, I do speak to him.
May I ask what he said to you about being vice president?
I never tell anybody my personal conversations with
Did the dog story
President
come up
Trump.
in a conversation?
I talk to President Trump all the time.
About the dog?
About a lot of things. And right now, I tell you what, he is being persecuted in a political witch hunt in this court case. So I'm proud of him about how tough he is and how well he is doing.
Did you bring up the dog?
Yes, enough, Stuart.
Did you
this
bring up the
interview
dog
is
with Trump?
ridiculous, what you are doing right now. So you need to stop. It is.
Okay.
It is.
We'll
Let's
stop.
talk about some real topics that Americans care about.
I'm afraid we're out of time.
Oh.
I'm afraid of out of time. But then she also had this one.
But going back to what you said a moment ago, maybe not lying to the American people. And I think this is important to talk about because the book's called No Going Back, The Truth on What's Wrong with Politics. And I think part of the problem with politics today is that politicians aren't honest with the American people. So if you asked me a month ago, who's at the top of the list to run with Donald Trump, I would have said your name. If you asked me that same question this morning, I don't even think you're on the list.
Really?
So my question for you, yes, really, and it's because of things that have come out in this book, like your claims that you met Kim Jong-un, and then over the last week, I've been
to the DMZ, I've been to the area. What I've said
did you stare down Kim Jong-un? Let me, Governor, 1 second. I will give you an opportunity to respond. I just want to get this out there. So here's the quote from the book. You say that I remember when I met North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. I'm sure he underestimated me, having no clue about my experience staring down little tyrant's governor. That never happened, did
What
it?
I have said in the book is that when I became aware of the content, that we had it changed.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't have any hatred for Kristi Noem. This is not my inflicted wound. It's her inflicted wound. It's her book. But if your best excuse, you write something in a book that is reportedly autobiographical, I mean, it's your name on the book. And I understand she has a ghostwriter, but it's your name on the book. And your best excuse is to say, I didn't know it was in there and I had it changed when I found out it was in there. Well, who told the ghostwriter? I mean, it opens up another world of questions about what's real in the book, what's not real in the book, what's made up, what did the ghostwriter write, what did you write? Who told the ghostwriter that you met Kim Jong-un? The ghostwriter is not just going to make that passage up. Are they? So put the dog stuff aside, my strong feelings about it aside. I am so sorry, especially for those of you who really felt strongly about Kristi Noem as a potential VP candidate. She's toast. There was a passage in a book supposedly written by you that included a meeting of Kim Jong-un that never happened. And when you got called out on it, you said, oh, well, when I found out about that, I had it changed. You wrote the book, reportedly. Oh, well, let's talk about then who wrote the book? Can we talk to the person that wrote the book? If you didn't write the book?
Can you imagine a music artist coming out and going, oh, I didn't know that song was on my album?
It's your album.
You record. What the hell?
I don't know. Look, I'm an equal opportunity offender. I don't care about the Republican behind her name. I just want honesty, more honesty in political discussions and in the political world. And if we can't get them, then I'm going to call it out. I'm going to continue to call it out. And that has nothing to do with the dog story. Seth is next in Brentwood. Hey, Seth, glad you called. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well.
So I have two questions. So I guess the first question is, or I guess more of a statement, surely President Trump already knew these problems with Kristi Noem ahead of time before she put out the book. And if she was being considered on top of the list of VPs, surely he had people that were vetting her and knew these potential issues. And do you think she purposely put those details in her book to test out nationwide how well people were going to react versus Trump picks her as VP to go to the convention, and then you've got like 3-4 months before the election, and then the allegations start being reported, and it kind of catches them by surprise and could affect the election. And I guess my second question is, if she lied about her meeting with Kim Jong-un, does it bring more life to the alleged allegation that she and Corey Lewandowski had an affair that's being reported by multiple news outlets?
Yeah, I mean, that affair, that the reporting of that has been around for some time now, and it's just kind of laid. I mean, it just kind of lays there. I don't know that there's been any sort of emphatic denial, at least one that I have seen, Seth. As far as the floating of the stories out, I would probably go with that. I mean, I think that's a good theory for the dog thing. If you know that the dog thing is potentially going to come up if you're selected as VP, right? If it's something that happened and it's a story that's out there and you know it's going to come out there, you best get ahead of it. You throw it out there. You do it so that others can't do it. And you do it early. I would agree with that. The Kim Jong-un deal is just an absolute unforced error. I can't see why you would float what was obviously a lie in your book for the purpose of testing it on the public. That doesn't make any sense. The dog story, now that would make sense. But this, for me, the the dog thing, I love dogs, and I strongly disagree with the manner in which she handled herself with the dog deal. But that's somewhat forgivable. Lying about meeting an international dictator in a book is unforgivable. It's just a book that you supposedly wrote. That's unforgivable for me. I don't abide liars or thieves. And if you meet one, you've met the other. It's 10 minutes until the top of the hour. We're going to meet Brian Wilson, talk about what's happening on the... Oh, by the way, Opry Mills Mall, have y'all seen where it's closed down? They're closing Opry Mills Mall because of the flooding, the potential for flooding in that area. The Cumberland River is not expected to crest for another day. I'm looking at a chart. This is an Ashland City chart of the Cumberland, and they're not expecting the Cumberland to crest in Ashland City until tomorrow at around noon. And that is at roughly 25 feet, which is about a foot over the bypass. So it's going to get worse before it gets better. We'll talk with Brian Wilson in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, winding down my first day of the week, my first day back on this Thursday. Brian Wilson's been here all the week and did great work last night along with Dan Mandis, Ken Weaver, and the rest of the team, storm coverage-wise. And thank you, Brian, for everything that you did.
I apologize. I completely forgot to do something. Give me just a second, Brian.
Don't do it. Thursday. It's called Thursday.
Thank you.
It's called Thursday. It's a perfectly acceptable way to describe the day of the week. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Well, hey, listen, and thank you for the compliment. I actually enjoy live coverage like that. Unfortunately, it's a disaster for some people, but this is where I think we excel. That everybody crashes the board, and Ken Weaver, you can't keep him away from tornado coverage with a team of horses. He loves it. It goes back to his roots when he was working in Oklahoma, where he did a lot of that, and he's so good. And Dan Mandis, was handling calls, and I was throwing information in as I could find it, and it was I think a real good team effort.
Well, and sadly, loss of life due to the event, and it's not over. I mean, some of this flooding, I'll tell you, the Cumberland River, I was looking at some of the crest charts, and it's not expected to crest until sometime tomorrow.
Yeah, I was supposed to be on the General Jackson this weekend. I don't know that I'm going to be doing that now. I'm wondering if that has been affected by it.
What's going on the drive, Brian?
Well, we got all kinds of stuff, and of course, I'm going to debut a new piece of technology on the show today. I have now established a cicada microphone.
No, don't do it.
Because they are everywhere. I mean, my backyard there's hundreds of them in the air. And then I found out why my robin problem, while I was putting the cicada mics in place, I found out why my robin problem was there. There's a robin's nest right there outside the window.
Huh.
So I've got that's going to be something to watch over the next month or so. So we'll watch that.
Try to feed the robins the cicadas. That's what you should.
That's right. Yeah. Going to be talking about tornadoes. We're going to be talking about how Biden is blissfully unaware and just how bad the economy is, and it's killing him, which is okay with me, I suppose. But we got other stuff as well, border news, the Trump trials, the reaction to the withholding of weapons to Israel. It's just a big show. Plus, of course, we'll do Mac Morey's Wide World of Sports.
A lot going on this afternoon. Be here for the drive with Brian Wilson. Here comes Mac Morey with the news. I'll be back tomorrow for a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Until then, so long, everybody.